In Chapter 3, we hear more about what distinguishes Buddhahood and the path leading thereto, with the Buddha taking the lead and Mahamate continuing to ask questions. Chapter 3, Section 57. The Buddha doesn't wait for a question, but explains one of the fruits of the Bodhisattva path, the transformation of the body. Earlier, in sections 30 and 52, he linked attainment of a projection body to the 8th stage of the path. Here, he identifies 3 kinds of such bodies. One attained prior to the 8th stage that realizes the nature of mind. One attained at the 8th stage that realizes the nature of dharmas. And one that realizes the nature of realization and is not associated with any stage, although it could be linked with any or all of the final 3 stages. Section 58. Besides transformation of body, another fruit of the path is transformation of deed. Here, the Buddha reinterprets harmful acts committed against our greatest benefactors and redirects them toward our greatest enemies. As Pogo Possum once said, quote, "We have met the enemy and he is us." Section 59. Implicit in this definition of Buddhahood is a reinterpretation of the Four Noble Truths. How can there be suffering if there is no self? How can there be a cause of suffering if there is no obstruction? How can there be a cessation of suffering if there is no death? And how can there be a path leading to the cessation of suffering if there is no affliction? Section 60. If a Buddha's awareness is based on no self, Mahamate wonders why the Buddha seems to talk in terms of a self, especially a self not limited by space or time. The Buddha sidesteps the issue of personal identity and points Mahamate instead to the nature of Buddhahood, about which he just asked. As the Buddha notes in the 2nd verse of the next section, Buddhas are Buddhas because they are Buddhas and not other than Buddhas. Section 61. Mahamate continues his inquiry into the nature of Buddhahood. If the Buddha's voice is like that of a Kalavinka and he teaches the 37 elements of awareness, why does he say he doesn't speak? This was another section of the Lanka popular among early Zen masters. Section 62. In a previous section, the Buddha said Tathagatas are free from existence and non-existence. Mahamate still doesn't understand the Buddha's teaching of mind and asks how to get free from this duality. The Buddha explains that while these 2 conceptions dominate people's thinking, including the thinking of would-be practitioners seeking to render the existence of their afflictions non-existent, his teaching does not recognize the existence of afflictions, much less their annihilation. To Hui Ko, Bodhidharma said, quote, "Show me this mind of yours, and I will calm it for you." Section 58. Turning from belief in existence or non-existence, Mahamate asks about a way that transcends such dualities. The Buddha responds by outlining the way realized by and for oneself and the way as taught to others. If our projections are unreal, as noted in the final verses of the last section, where do they come from, and why? And why is ultimate reality not likewise subject to projections? Section 65. The inquiry into the misconceptions and projections of the mind continues with speech and meaning. The Buddha has previously told Mahamate to rely on meaning and not on words. But without relying on words, how are we to understand meaning? The Buddha's only concern is our differentiation of speech and meaning and our attachment to one or the other. Thus, he tells Mahamate that they are neither different nor not different. If you want to see what is in a room, you need a lamp. But viewing the lamp as different from what is in the room is a mistake and only leads to the need for another lamp. Meaning isn't in the words, just as the room isn't in the lamp.